The year is 1917, late afternoon. An old neighborhood in the city of Foshan, a narrow hutong street. Ip Man locks eyes with Wang Ke-ying, who stands before him. 5 men have surrounded them. Everyone watching this moment expects to witness violence. Ip Man is 28 years old. Wang Ke-ying is 15 kilograms heavier and a man famous for the number of ribs he has broken on the streets of Foshan. Wang blocks Ip Man's path, places his hand on his chest and says, "Either pay your protection money, or I'll beat you right here." Ip Man takes no defensive stance. He doesn't even raise his hands. Instead, he does something no one expects. He steps closer, leans in, and whispers something into Wang's ear. Wang's expression changes instantly. First surprise, then dread, followed by something like fear. He recoils and raises his hand to his gang. "We're leaving." The men look on in confusion, but they obey. No punches thrown, no violence shown. Only words. No one heard it. So, what did Ip Man whisper that made a gang leader just walk away? To understand this, we must go back 3 months. 3 months earlier. The summer of 1917. In Foshan, Ip Man is only 18 years old, a master of Wing Chun Kung Fu and the most talented student of Chan Hua Shun. He already has a great reputation on the streets. In those days, the streets of Foshan operated on a simple economy: territory, respect, and money. Gangs extorted protection money from neighborhoods. Shopkeepers paid these fees even if they didn't want to. After high school, young boys either joined gangs to make more money or tried to remain invisible. However, at that age, Ip Man was quite conspicuous. This was because he won almost all the competitions in the martial arts schools. Ip Man was even defeating masters of other styles. This young man's fame spread to other cities. In the martial arts community of Foshan, if you have a reputation, you draw interest from 2 groups. First, students who want to learn from you. And second, fighters who want to prove you aren't as good as they say. Wang Ke-ying was from the second group. Wang was a small-time gang leader on the west side of Foshan. He had a crew of 5 men who collected protection money from shops on 3 streets. It wasn't large by Foshan standards, but it was a structure that made Wang feel powerful. Wang had learned some hung ga, enough to take down untrained fighters and scare shopkeepers. But he lacked discipline and had no deep training in the field. When Wang heard of Ip Man, he took it personally. This young man winning matches, teaching Wing Chun, and walking the streets of Foshan as if he were in his own home, bothered Wang. "Who does this guy think he is?" he said. "Someone needs to teach him respect." Wang knew that every Tuesday and Thursday evening, Ip Man passed through his territory while returning home from Chan Hua Shun's school. That evening, Ip Man had just finished the last class at 9 p.m. at Chan Hua Shun's school. In the lesson, he had focused on Chi Sao, or sticky hands training. His master had taught him something very useful: the ability to feel the opponent's energy before they even move. "Don't think about the next move," Chan Hua Shun had said. "Feel it, because your body knows before your mind does." Ip Man followed his usual route. He knew the narrow streets of Foshan well. Like everyone else, he knew which passages were safe and which were dangerous. He knew the shopkeepers, the street vendors, and the faces that changed at night. At that moment, he realized he was being followed. After leaving the school, he saw 2 men on the opposite sidewalk moving at the same pace as him. The men were watching him directly. Ip Man had never seen these men before. He knew very well that something dangerous was about to happen. Nevertheless, he continued walking without stopping. He turned into a narrower street, the path leading home. The men were no longer hiding the fact that they were following him, advancing behind him threateningly. When they reached the middle of the street, Wang stepped out from a narrow alley and blocked Ip Man's path. The men coming from behind also encircled Ip Man. Ip Man was calculating the men's movements with his eyes, planning how fast he would need to be in the event of an attack. There were 6 men in total. The street was quite narrow. The lights in the surrounding houses were on, but no one dared to look out the windows. In Foshan, people preferred not to witness gang fights. Wang smirked. "Ip Man, we finally meet." Ip Man did not respond. He just tried to stay calm while maintaining his balance. All his senses were at their peak for what was about to happen. Wang continued, "I hear you've been wandering my streets, teaching that fancy kung fu to the youth, confusing their minds. You've even made a name for yourself with your fake martial art. This is quite funny," he said, letting out an ugly laugh. Ip Man said, "Look, I'm just going home right now. I don't want anything else to happen, and I don't want you to get hurt. Furthermore, this is my neighborhood, and if you've stepped foot here, you should show respect to everyone as you pass. I'm not interested in your dirty business." Wang's smile vanished. "This is disrespect. Do you know what happens to those who disrespect me?" he shouted. Ip Man said, "Yes, I've heard some stories." Wang continued, "Then you know I don't like being disrespected." Wang stepped closer and placed his hand on Ip Man's chest. This was not a strike, but a claim, a declaration of dominance. This was the moment everyone expected Ip Man to fight. However, Ip Man was trained. He had defeated fighters larger than Wang and won matches. He knew leverage, timing, and precision. He could have neutralized Wang with a quick Wing Chun combination: elbow to the throat, knee to the groin, trap the arm, sweep the leg. He could have been gone before the others could react. Ip Man had visualized the scenario in his mind. From the moment he realized he was being followed, he knew exactly how the fight would go. And he also knew how it would end. If he defeated Wang here in front of his crew, Wang would lose his reputation. He would lose his ability to control his territory. Men like Wang do not accept such a loss. They take revenge. If not tonight, then tomorrow or next week, they would bring more men, escalate the situation, and turn it into a personal war. The risk wasn't just for Ip Man. His family, his siblings, and his mother lived in Foshan. Men like Wang knew the vulnerable points. He knew he would win this fight against Wang, but that would guarantee a much longer war. A phrase Chan Hua Shun said during training came to mind. "The greatest victory is the one that requires no battle. If you can resolve a conflict without fighting, you have shown your mastery." But how could he resolve a conflict when he was a step away from a gang leader and surrounded by 5 men looking for a fight? At that moment, Ip Man made a decision that surprised everyone. He stepped even closer to Wang. Wang was startled, his eyes widened. This was not the reaction he expected. Ip Man leaned in, brought his mouth close to Wang's ear, and whispered something. Only Wang heard it. The whisper lasted perhaps 3 seconds, but what he said completely changed the course of events. Then Ip Man stepped back, returning to normal speaking distance. What had he said? What he said had completely transformed Wang's face. Wang stepped back and looked at Ip Man for a long time. The gang members waiting for him were ready for the order. They were waiting for him to give the command to attack. Instead, Wang raised his hand. "We're leaving." "What?" said one of the gang members. Wang's voice was sharp. "I said we're leaving." He was resolute. The gang members looked at each other in bewilderment. For them, things didn't usually end this way, but Wang was the boss. Whatever he said was the rule. Wang looked at Ip Man one last time, a look that was a mix of respect and warning. Then he turned and walked away with his crew. Secret and wisdom. Ip Man was now alone in the dark street. A few faces looked out from the windows above, surprised. One was Mrs. Liu, who ran the noodle shop on the corner. She had seen everything. The next day, she told everyone what she saw. The gang surrounded him. Wang put his hand on Ip Man's chest. Everyone thought a fight would break out, but Ip Man leaned in, said something no one heard, and they left. They just walked away. No one touched him. The story spread quickly through Foshan. Everyone wondered, what did Ip Man whisper? Some said it was a threat, that Ip Man had powerful connections, perhaps to a larger gang or the police. Others said it was a warning, that Ip Man knew something dangerous about Wang, a secret that would destroy his reputation. However, the truth was both simpler and more complex. These were the sentences Ip Man whispered. "I know you are trying to prove you are strong. Defeating me tonight proves it to these 5 men. But tomorrow, everyone will know that you needed 5 men to fight an 18-year-old student. This isn't respect, it's weakness. Let me walk, and no one will know I couldn't beat you alone. Attack, and I will make sure everyone knows you needed help to face me. The choice is yours. You have 5 seconds." A handful of sentences brought the incident to an end in a few seconds. This wasn't a threat of violence. It was a threat directed at something Wang valued more than violence, his reputation. Wang had built his power on the perception of power. He controlled his territory because people believed he was dangerous. Belief was his currency. If Wang had defeated Ip Man with the help of 5 men, the story wouldn't be "Wang is strong." They would say, "Wang needed 5 men to beat a kid." This would be a humiliating event, not a legend. It would be seen as weakness even by other gangs. Shopkeepers might even stop paying. Wang's authority would completely collapse. In reality, Ip Man's whisper offered Wang a choice: win the fight, but lose your reputation, or walk away and preserve your power. Ip Man had studied Wang before this confrontation. He knew Wang's reputation relied more on intimidation than violence, and he knew Wang valued respect above all else. He also sensed Wang was smart enough to calculate long-term consequences. The whisper was psychological warfare, and was more effective than any punch Ip Man could have thrown. When Chan Washun heard about the incident, he called Ip Man to his school. "I heard about your encounter with Wang," he said. "Yes, Sifu." "Tell me what happened." Ip Man recounted the tense moments of the confrontation one by one, and told him the words he whispered at the end. Chan Washun remained silent for a moment, then nodded. "Ip Man, you have grasped something many martial arts masters never learn," he said. "Fighting is not about proving you can win. It is about reaching the goal with minimum movement." Ip Man said, "I could have beaten him. I visualized the fight in my mind. I probably would have knocked all 6 of them down." "I know," said Chan Washun. "But what would have happened then? Wang would take revenge. His gang would come after you or your family. The conflict would expand. So where would it end?" That's exactly what I thought. You used your greatest weapon, your mind. You understood Wang's psychology and gave him a way to retreat without losing everything. This is wisdom. Chanhua Shun walked to the window and looked out at the streets of Foshan. Most people think martial arts is about fighting, but the highest level is about not needing to fight. You showed that tonight. What if he hadn't listened? Ip Man asked. What if he had attacked anyway? Then you would have fought and won, but you gave him the option to choose wisdom. That is all you can do. This philosophy, that the highest victory is the one requiring no battle, became central to Ip Man's understanding of martial arts. Years later, when teaching Wing Chun, he always emphasized this principle. The best fighter is not a boxer or a karateka. The best fighter is the one who can adapt to any style. But the best fighter has no need to fight. The incident with Wang taught Ip Man that psychological understanding what people fear, what they value, and what they try to protect, is more powerful than physical skill. Wang never bothered Ip Man again. 2 years later, as Ip Man was preparing to leave Foshan, Wang sent a message through a mutual acquaintance. Tell Ip Man I respect what he did that night. He could have shamed me, but he didn't. That is true power. The story of Ip Man's whisper became a legend in the martial arts community of Foshan. The fundamental truth remained: Ip Man faced a gang without throwing a punch because he understood that true strength is not proving you can fight, but knowing when not to fight. Ask yourself, now, a question for you. How often do you choose to fight when you could choose not to? I'm not talking about physical fights. Most of us don't encounter gangs. But arguments that don't need to happen. Conflicts that feed your ego but don't solve problems. Wars you might win, but where the victory costs more than it's worth. True power is not proving you are right. It is knowing that walking away serves you better than being right. Ip Man could have destroyed Wang that night, proved his Wing Chun was superior, and shown he was not to be trifled with. Instead, he gave Wang a way out, and in doing so, Ip Man gained something more valuable than a street fight: respect, the prevention of violence, and mastery beyond physical technique. The next time you face a conflict, ask yourself, am I fighting because I need to, or because I want to prove something? Sometimes the most powerful move isn't a punch, but a whisper. If this story made you think differently about what power truly means, hit the like button and subscribe for more stories about wisdom and philosophy overcoming violence. Share in the comments, what was a moment where you chose not to fight, and it turned out to be the better option? Would you like me to do anything else with this text?